Liberal leader Justin Trudeau began the campaign day in Windsor, Ontario, before making quick stops in key ridings all the way to Richmond Hill north of Toronto. But the Liberal campaign's been thrown off by another candidate controversy. Candidate Kevin Wong in the Toronto riding of Spadina-Fort York was charged with sexual assault in 2019, but the charges were eventually dropped. Trudeau says the party just learned about those past charges from media reports, raising questions about the internal vetting process.
We are a party that always takes seriously any allegations or reports of sexual harassment or intimidation or assault. That has been clear from the very beginning. As you also pointed out, we only learned about these serious allegations yesterday through the work of the Toronto Star. We are looking into it very carefully, and we have asked the candidate to pause his campaign.
These final days of the race are about chasing support or shoring it up for every leader, and trying to frame the choice in the minds of voters. And for Justin Trudeau, that means attacking Erin O'Toole, describing him today as slippery and weak. And he points to the recent moves by two Conservative premiers to impose new pandemic restrictions and to adopt vaccine passports, saying O'Toole is more and more isolated. And as the campaign nears an end, the Liberal leader is sharpening his direct appeal to progressive voters to unite behind the Liberals for two reasons. And as he paused to emphasize the importance of the choice for voters, perhaps a poor choice of words.
Let me be honest for a second, Tom. I know, I've been honest throughout, but particularly now, I want to share something with you. When people are looking at maybe voting for the NDP or the Greens, they need to be reassured that yes, the Liberal Party is, as always, the only party that can stop Conservatives from governing. But more than that, we are the party with the best plan to fight climate change.
Before heading to Nova Scotia, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh began his campaign day in Sherbrooke, Quebec, a riding the NDP lost to the Bloc in the last election. Singh promised action on climate change, accusing the Liberals of years of inaction. He also criticized the Liberal leader for not firing the candidate in Toronto over those revelations of a past sexual assault charge.
If he told the party and the Liberal Party knew about it, maybe Mr. Trudeau didn't know before, but he certainly knows now. He certainly knows now. What is his action? What action is he taking? Silence in the face of injustice is acceptance.
Singh also worked to blunt the efforts of the Liberals to siphon progressive voters away from the NDP in the final hours of the campaign, saying Justin Trudeau has been an abject failure and is bad for Canada.
I absolutely believe that you don't reward somebody who calls a selfish election with the majority. And in fact, the calling of this election, there was no reason for it. It was called during the fourth wave when Mr. Trudeau knew full well there would be a fourth wave of COVID-19. He called the election anyways, despite the forest fires, despite the crises going on. It was a selfish decision.
Conservative leader Erin O'Toole campaigned in key ridings in Ontario today. Once again, he urged voters to punish Justin Trudeau at the ballot box for calling the election in the pandemic.
For those who are tired of being lectured, tired of being let down, and tired of being stuck with higher prices to pay for Justin Trudeau's massive debt, you need to do the one thing Justin Trudeau doesn't want you to do, and that is to vote Conservative on Monday.
O'Toole also made a thinly veiled appeal to supporters of the People's Party of Canada, which has been rising in the polls. If you want to defeat Justin Trudeau, he said, you have to vote Conservative.
Mr. Trudeau will focus on the protesters, but there's actually millions of Canadians who are very frustrated with Mr. Trudeau.
And why do they like the PPC?
That are tired of his broken promise, tired of the division, the national unity divisions we have that simply weren't there before Mr. Trudeau. And if they allow that frustration to do anything other than vote Conservative, they're voting for Mr. Trudeau.
Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet campaigned in ridings where the polls predict tight three- and even four-way races. The current polls point to another minority government, and Blanchet promised to work to ensure there isn't another snap election soon after.
In order to avoid any drama, again, drama which would be false because nobody will want to go back in elections soon, and maybe we are the ones that would fear it less, but we will not go there. I want to meet with every party leader after the election and just discuss how we should work in order to prevent Quebecers and Canadians from having to go through this once again anytime soon.
And that's the kind of day it's been. Day 34 of the campaign. Decision Day is now just 3 days away.